For over 1,000 years, one city stood unconquered. Empires rose around it. Empires shattered against it. Armies came with fire and steel and left in ruin. Rome had fallen. The West had collapsed. But Constantinople endured. Its walls defied time. Its domes crowned the horizon like a promise of eternity. And then, a 21-year-old sultan decided it would fall. His name was Mehmed, and he did not come merely to conquer a city. He came to build an empire. Mehmed was not born into obscurity. He was the son of Sultan Murad II, ruler of a rising Ottoman state straddling Europe and Asia. From childhood, he was immersed in study, languages, mathematics, philosophy, military strategy. He read about Alexander. He studied Caesar. He examined the fall of Rome. But unlike most princes, Mehmed was not satisfied with inheritance. He wanted destiny. At just 12 years old, he briefly ascended the throne. But Europe sensed weakness. Crusades were called. His father returned to power. The lesson was brutal. Rule was not granted. It was secured. When Mehmed took the throne again at 19, he was no longer a child. He was calculating, focused, and obsessed. Constantinople, the last remnant of the Roman Empire. Its massive Theodosian walls had stood for nearly 1,000 years. 3 layers of stone, moats, or towers. It was more than a city. It was legitimacy. To control, it was to claim the mantle of Rome itself. For centuries, Muslim armies had attempted to take it. They failed. For centuries, European powers relied on it as a barrier. They prayed it would never fall. But Mehmed saw something different. He saw vulnerability. The empire inside those walls had shrunk to little more than the city itself. Its resources were thin, its allies uncertain, its population diminished. To Mehmed, Constantinople was not invincible. It was unfinished history. He began quietly. A fortress was constructed on the European side of the Bosporus, Rumeli Hisar. Its purpose was unmistakable: control the strait, cut off aid, strangle the city. Then came the cannons, massive bronze weapons engineered to do what had never been done before: shatter the ancient walls. Some were so large they required dozens of oxen to move. Europe underestimated him. They believed the walls would hold. They believed the Ottomans were not yet ready. They were wrong. By spring of 1453, Mehmed commanded tens of thousands of soldiers, infantry, cavalry, engineers, a navy to blockade the harbor. But even he knew this would not be easy. Across the walls stood Emperor Constantine XI, the last Roman emperor, outnumbered, outgunned, but unwilling to surrender. History was tightening like a drawn bow. On April 6, 1453, the cannons roared. For weeks, stone met fire. The earth shook. The walls cracked, but did not collapse. Ottoman assaults were repelled. Losses mounted. Inside the city, prayers filled the churches. Outside, Mehmed adjusted strategy. And then he did something extraordinary. He ordered ships to be dragged over land, across greased logs, into the Golden Horn, bypassing the massive chain that protected the harbor. It was audacious. It was unprecedented. It changed everything. The siege tightened, supplies dwindled, morale weakened. Then, on May 29th, before dawn, Mehmed launched the final assault. Wave after wave struck the defenses. By morning, the walls were breached. Emperor Constantine XI is said to have removed his imperial insignia and charged into battle. He never returned. By midday, the Ottoman banner rose over the city. After more than 1,000 years, Constantinople had fallen. But this was not the end. It was the beginning. Mehmed entered the city not as a destroyer, but as a ruler. He ordered looting to cease. He walked into Hagia Sophia, the great cathedral of Eastern Christianity. Its vast dome had symbolized Roman continuity for centuries. It would now serve a new empire. Mehmed declared himself Caesari Ruum, Caesar of Rome. It was not arrogance. It was strategy. He did not see himself as replacing Rome. He saw himself as inheriting it. Constantinople would become Istanbul, the new imperial capital, not abandoned, not erased, transformed. Conquest alone does not make an empire. Administration does. Law does. Vision does. Mehmed reorganized governance. He strengthened central authority. He expanded the devshirme system and the janissary corps. He welcomed scholars, merchants, and artisans to repopulate the city. Christians and Jews were permitted to maintain religious leadership under Ottoman oversight. Trade routes revived. Architecture flourished. Campaigns continued into the Balkans and Anatolia. Within decades, the Ottoman state was no longer a frontier principality. It was a superpower. Why begin the Ottoman story with Mehmed? Because before him, the Ottomans were rising. After him, they were inevitable. Osman founded a dynasty. Orhan expanded territory. But Mehmed transformed a regional state into a world empire. After 1453, Europe could not ignore the Ottomans. Trade patterns shifted. Political alliances realigned. The psychological map of the world changed. The Middle Ages were ending. A new era was beginning. And at its center stood a young sultan who believed history could be reshaped. He did not simply conquer a city. He redefined power. He did not merely close a chapter of Rome. He wrote the prologue of an empire that would endure for centuries. Empires are not born when they begin. They are born when the world is forced to notice. And in 1453, the world noticed.